The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Lining up Adrian Noble, and here it comes. Hula kick, connects.
Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Alright, so welcome back to another episode of Game Day. I'm in the middle of recording this during the NFL's trade deadline, and so I might get notifications throughout about different trades that have already happened. Roquan Smith, the Bears finally traded him to the Ravens. Chase Claypool just got traded to the Bears, and TJ Hawkinson just got traded to the Vikings already, so pretty notable trade deadline so far, and a pretty odd one if we're being honest with one another. Like, it is weird to see it is weird to see the Lions trade TJ Hawkinson within their own division. And also, I don't know, I've been trying to see the justification behind trading a young tight end like him who showed promise, but like, all I've seen is Lions fans call him mid, so that's pretty crazy to see. Like how the tables have turned with that whole situation. Roquan Smith getting traded to the Ravens is also a confusing one because it doesn't necessarily solve all of the Ravens' problems, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And then plus, he's on an expiring deal, and the whole reason he got traded from the Bears was because they didn't want to pay him. And now the Ravens have to pay him and Lamar Jackson at the same time, unless they just fully have no plans to commit to Lamar Jackson and then will just let him walk for free. And Chase Claypool getting traded to the Bears just makes sense because Justin Fields needs some type of receivers there, man. But looking at the rest of the league, speaking of the Ravens, they beat the Bucks this Thursday night, 27-22. Pretty good game from them. The Broncos beat the Jaguars out in Jacksonville, got their win. The Falcons beat the Panthers in a pretty crazy game that went into overtime. Had the whole thing with DJ Moore where he celebrated his touchdown, and they flagged him because he took off his helmet on the field, just for the people to like review it later on after the game was over and be like, yeah, no, that was the wrong play, because if you look, he's not on the field when he takes his helmet off. So that was a pretty crazy thing that happened. Cowboys beat the Bears. Dolphins beat the Lions in a pretty high scoring affair. Going back to the Cowboys, crazy game for Tony Pollard, and yet they still want to go with Zeke, and it's apparently because Zeke can block. I don't know. It's really weird that they're still rolling with Zeke. It's probably because of that contract he has. You feel forced to. The Vikings beat the Cardinals. The Vikings advanced to 6-1 on the season. We all know who that one loss was to. And funny enough, you could make the jokes that Kyler losing Kyler losing right after a new Call of Duty game drops, but he actually did pretty decent aside from the 2 interceptions he threw. But yeah, it is pretty funny. New Call of Duty drops and the Cardinals lose right after. The Saints absolutely whooped the Raiders, and I kind of just hate the Raiders for this one because it's like we need the Saints to be losing so that draft pick for the Eagles can be much higher, and then plus, I don't know, man. I actually have no clue at all what's going on with the Raiders, man. Like, I don't know. Look at I couldn't believe it. I had Devontae Adams in fantasy. One catch for 3 yards, and that was it, man. I couldn't believe that. Like, he was targeted 5 times, it says, but only had 1 reception for 3 yards. Not looking good over there. The Patriots beat the Jets, which is kind of surprising to me. That's pretty crazy to see. The The Titans beat the Texans in a close one. The Commanders beat the Colts as the Colts fall to 3-4-1. And I'm in no way concerned about that game anymore. May have to relook at the schedule and tell you what games I think we'll lose and what games we'll win as a change up from what my original season schedule predictions were. The 49ers absolutely owned the Rams 31-14. And I say completely owned because my goodness, the game that Christian McCaffrey had. 18 rushes for 94 yards and a touchdown. 8 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown. And then this man was even out here throwing a 34-yard touchdown for the hat trick, basically. And I forget how long it's been, but they said, it's been an absolute long time since someone's thrown, rushed, and passed for a touchdown. Thrown, rushed, and caught a touchdown in the same game. Pretty crazy stuff there. The Giants lose to the Seahawks, and it is honestly pretty crazy the run that the Seahawks are on at 5-3. Geno Smith playing well. Kenneth Walker, having a good game. I don't know if anyone saw that play that DK Metcalf made. I mean, it's been making rounds on social media, but that was such an impressive play where he faked like they were throwing the ball and he was going to catch a touchdown, which distracted, I think it was Adoree Jackson, and then you just see Kenneth Walker walk in for the touchdown because, Adoree was distracted by DK. Really good play there. The Bills run straight through the Packers as expected. Josh Allen basically just continuing. Oh, well, he had 2 interceptions again. That's pretty crazy. But, still continuing to show out with Stephon Diggs. I still really think... I'll have to look at what all the stats are looking like. But I still think that Josh Allen and Diggs have the MVP and Offensive Player of the Year awards in the bag. And then on Monday Night Football, surprise, surprise, the Browns beat the Bengals pretty badly, 32-13. Pretty down game, especially for Joe Burrow not having Jamar Chase. It is crazy to see just how much, he impacts that team and how well they play. But we move on to... Oh, wait, before we move on, there's also like a ton of other stuff, such as World Series getting delayed because of weather in Philly yesterday. So now Game 3 is today, Game 4 is tomorrow. Game 5 is sadly on Thursday now, and I say sadly because I literally built my schedule this week around a potential Game 6 happening on Friday. So I switched my plans to Thursday, and now there's Game 5 on Thursday, and if the Phillies somehow find a way to miraculously win this in 5, it's going to suck for me because I gotta rush home in hopes of making it for that final inning, and hope I can be there to celebrate rather than get out of the movies and see them win through a notification on my phone rather than be there watch it. But we'll see how everything goes down today. And then the Sixers finally got to 500. Off to a rough start, but they're getting into form now. And, going to be some interesting times in the sports world. But we move on to the main course of today. That is obviously the Battle of Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles coming off the bye week, 6-0, looking to head to 7-0. And my goodness, I'm pretty sure, I don't think it was the last episode, but it might have been the episode of when the Eagles won against the Cowboys, where I mentioned that we want to see more of a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes type performance out of Jalen Hurts, where he throws that ball for a good amount of yards and like 3-4 touchdowns, kind of like his game against, I think it was the Commanders, And what does he do but do that exact same thing right after, I was worried about this game mainly because of the Steelers defense, and it was no match. Jalen Hurts, 19 of 28 on the day for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns. Miles Sanders, though, they weren't able to get the rushing game going as much as the passing game, Miles Sanders still had a good game, 9 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown. Boston Scott, 7 of 21. And then the receiving, A.J. Brown, 6 catches for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns on the day. Definitely game ball, and definitely going to be the thumbnail of today's video. Dallas Goedert, 6 catches, 64 yards. Zach Pascal, 2 catches, 57 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Smith, 5 catches, 23 yards. Really showed out, really took advantage of that Steelers defense. And then our defense also, did well, holding them to 13. TJ Edwards, total of 13 sacks. Kaiser White, 13 tackles, 11 tackles for both men. And then in the sack department, and one thing I mentioned was them not being able to get much pressure, them being low on the sack numbers. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson gets a sack. Javon Hargrave gets 2. Hassan Reddick gets 1. And then I think 2 of our backups, I forget their name, they also got 1 each, giving us a total of 6. Robert Quinn didn't play too much. I know he got a quarterback hit, but he didn't see too many snaps. Jordan Davis ended up picking up an injury, which is real bad to see. But from all that I've seen, it shouldn't be something long term. It should be very friendly to the Eagles in that, he'll be out a couple weeks. But thankfully, it wasn't as terrible of an injury from what I heard. And then Chauncey Gardner-Johnson got an interception again. I think that's his 3rd one. Or not his 3rd, but he's had an interception every week for 3 weeks now, I'm pretty sure. Alright, let me read. Hold on, let me think about that. He had one in this game with the Steelers. He had the 2 in the Cowboys game. Who did we play before the Cowboys? Was it the Cardinals? Did he get an interception there? Let me double check that. But yeah, really starting to show out. Fully expecting a lot of these different guys to soon be getting some type of extension. I think Chauncey probably gets one. Jalen Hurts probably gets one. I can't say the same about Miles Sanders, though he's been playing well. I just don't know if Howie Roseman is the guy to give money to a running back, and if he does, I don't know if it'll be, I guess I want to say enough compared to what the market might give him, like other teams might throw at him. It'll definitely be interesting to see what happens with Miles Sanders. Checking right now. Yeah. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson did have an interception in that Cardinals game. He had 1 or 2 in the Cowboys game, and he has 1 here, really showing out. And I don't know if Miles Sanders gets extended, but yeah, this was just all around a really good game for this team. There were a couple times where the play calling looked odd, there was a couple times where Jalen Hurts would run, and you're just like, I really wish you weren't. I can understand trying to get the rushing game going, trying to keep up the whole unpredictability of the play calling thing, but there was just sometimes where he would rush and you were like, why are you rushing? He would run straight into defenders. But definitely one of our better games to watch, especially offensively. When the rush couldn't get going that much, as I mentioned, they still tried to run it. Obviously, Miles Sanders got a pretty good game, but it wasn't to their usual that you expect out of the rushing game, and so they went to that passing game and basically demonstrated, okay, you want to isolate the run from us? Well, we're not like last year. Here's 4 touchdowns being thrown on your heads this game. Kenny Pickett intercepted, held to only 191 yards. Though there were a couple plays where they were giving up huge amounts of yards, they still held them pretty well. And held Najee Harris in check, just like he's been basically being held all season. It's pretty crazy to see the season that guy's having, where compared to his rookie year, it's he's truly the definition of sophomore slump right now of what he's going through. The rushing, the receiving game for the Steelers couldn't get going much. Kenny Pickett fumbled the ball twice and lost one of them. And they could not stop A.J. Brown this game. They could not stop the Eagles offense. Couldn't get nothing going on the Eagles defense. Just a really complete game where Jalen Hurts said, you're going to stop the rush. I'm going to prove I can pass, and not only pass, but I can prove I can, thread that needle many times and get that ball right into my big-time receiver that the Eagles traded for, Show them that he can throw out these absolute dimes to, basically all his receivers while still using Dallas Goedert as that safety net. Some real good stuff from this team. I'm real proud of this win. And, people were going to be like, oh, it's the Steelers, you were expected to beat them. But, I don't know, man. This was a Steelers team that just beat the Bucs, 2 weeks ago, I think, at this point. Nothing's guaranteed in football, It's always up in the air about what's going to happen in football, and you can't blame the Eagles for just beating the team that was in front of them, I'm more happy that, I think this proves sort of their dominance and their upper echelon tier because of how well they dominated, They could have easily been like the Dolphins last week and had a 16-10 game with the Steelers, but they went out and dropped 35 on them and only held them to 13, So you can't really fault them or blame them for just beating the competition in front of them, It's sorry, but that's what we're expected to do pretty much, You can't all of a sudden blame us because we just decided to actually live up to our potential, That's one of the things I love the most about this team so far this season is that they haven't fallen into the slump that the Eagles usually do where they played down to their opponent's level instead of playing above it. They could have easily played down to the Steelers' level. And again, had that close game with them, let them think they had a chance to win. But they just straight up said, nope, we're going out there and we're making sure that you don't do anything to us, sorry, but we're not going to let you come out here and throw for 200, 300 yards, rookie Kenny Pickett. We're going to hold you in check. We're going to hold your entire team in check on both sides of the ball. And if you have any problem with the Eagles doing that, it's can't blame them, man. People just kind of look for reasons to hate. No one's getting mad at the Bills for beating the teams that they're supposed to beat. And I know that's a drastic comparison, between the Bills probably. I mean, look at the Bills' schedule. Let's see. Where are the Bills at? Let me see. Let's see what the Bills' schedule has been so far. They played the Colts. Oh, that's reason. They played the Rams. And, obviously that was the beginning of the season. So it's people had high expectation for the Rams. Where now it's people don't really know what to think of the Rams. But still, they beat the Rams 31-10. They beat the Titans 41-7. They lost to the Dolphins. They beat the Ravens. They beat the Steelers. They beat the Chiefs. And they beat the Packers. Now, that's obviously a much tougher schedule when you have to go against teams like the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Dolphins. But at the same time, they beat teams like the Rams, the Titans, the Steelers, and the Packers who either have been underperforming or there really isn't much to them. Again, I have to reconsider that Titans game because Ryan Tannehill's down now. So it's the whole focus is now going to be about stopping Derrick Henry, which was always going to be the priority. But look at the Titans game recently where they barely beat the Texans 17-10, and it was off the back of Derrick Henry. But then you had a guy like their quarterback, Malik Willis, only threw 10 times, 55 yards, and he had an interception. And then the rest of that game was Derrick Henry, 32 carries, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. So it's you can't really blame the Eagles for the schedule that was given to them, Obviously, on paper, it looks easy. We got the Texans next. We got the Commanders who have gotten to 500, 4-4. The Colts, the Packers, the Titans, And like, I don't know, like that later half of the schedule, as much as people want to complain about our schedule being easy, it's like, look at that later half. We got to play against the Packers, which Aaron Rodgers, any given Sunday could just show out, and you can't really count him out. The Titans, who, again, though they don't have Ryan Tannehill, it's all about stopping Derrick Henry. And then, to finish out the season, they got to go against the Giants, who have been playing well, the Cowboys rematch, and then the Giants again, with the Saints and Bears being in between as sort of on paper easy wins. But, who knows what can happen on any given Sunday. But I look forward to next week, or well, no, it's this week. Yeah, Thursday's game. I won't be watching. I'm trying to think. I'll probably still save that video for the Eagles one till Tuesday, so I can have the full NFL week to talk about. And plus, I'll need time to catch up anyways, because like I mentioned, I'm gonna be very busy on Thursday watching a movie. Hopefully, catching the final game of the World Series if the Phillies find a way to cap it off. Game grades, I'd give, not even diving into specific groups, I'd give both sides of the ball an A. They just really showed out, did their jobs, played to their potential like they're supposed to, and makes me excited for, I hope that they do well on this short week. A lot can happen, but I expect them to, not let the short week get to them. And obviously, it's going to be interesting to see exactly how the rest of the season plays out, especially if they make any trades. It'll be crazy if a trade happens after I finish recording this video, and I won't be able to talk about it till next week. We obviously made the Robert Quinn trade, looking to see how he does with that added defensive line, and, how he helps them out, how they help him out. And it's just all looking up from here. But as always, thank you all for joining for another episode of Game Day. And remember, things in this life may seem very difficult, but as always, if you fight for your dreams will fight for you. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.